I'm really fortunate this afternoon to welcome Jacob, Head of Corporate Business Development for Bupa, to one of Dr. Mark's virtual tea time chats. So I know that I've got my tea here in the virtual library, as you can see, and Jacob's there with I think a glass of water. Is far more healthy and abstemious than I am. So I've got a number of questions just to run through with Jacob, just to get his views as well in terms of where we are and potentially where we're going with this current situation that we've been facing. But first, let's just kick off and get a view from you, Jacob, in terms of, how have you been working and supporting the Bupa customer family?
So I think, Mark, we basically started, and me personally started with our people, really understanding what our people need, so our teams need and my team need.
Yeah.
But also really understanding what our clients need and asking those questions. So overnight, our clients started relying on us really, really heavily. And a lot of barriers were broken down in terms of, you've got different levels of trust, etc., with your clients. You're quite new to some relationships, but it felt like immediately all of those barriers were broken down.
Yeah.
And our clients and people desperately needed to know what we can do to support them. So I think the first thing I did, and I think we generally did as a team, was to try and just be available for one another and for our customers. So we were all working from home, etc. But reply to emails quicker, pick the phone up, really talk to one another, really check in with one another, and really encourage our customers to talk to us a little bit more potentially, because a lot of them felt that they needed to. I think very early we had to kind of almost revisit our values and beliefs in terms of this, because we were suddenly in crisis mode. It was suddenly the war effort, and we as a business, but also as a team, we needed to kind of go back to basics in terms of our values. So what are the things that we need to do to keep our people and to help keep our customers to keep their people really safe, and what if that is in line with our values? Everything else to the side in terms of of profits and all of our business processes, etc. How can we do that really safely?
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And we needed to make decisions really quickly, which in a big organization is sometimes a little bit tough. It's not generally something that I would say I personally struggle with, but to bring an organization onto the kind of journey with you in terms of everything we decide, everything we do, speed is of the essence. Let's really, really stick to the right stuff and make sure that we safe and compliant in everything that we do, but let's make decisions quickly because it's impacting a lot of people on the kind of back end. And I think... Sorry, you go. Sorry.
Yeah, no. And did you find that you were able to be a lot more agile in the new environment?
Absolutely, and I would say surprisingly so for an organisation of our size. We've had a lot of innovation in the pipeline, really exciting things that we were working on in future, and suddenly overnight we had to deploy a large number of those initiatives.
Yeah,
we did it safely and compliantly, and our clients were delighted with it, which I think we surprised ourselves, and we proved something to ourselves in terms of these things. It can be done well and safely, but let's cut to the chase. Let's really, really get to the important stuff and kind of put the needs of our clients in the middle of it. So I think that's been a really important takeaway for us, but it's also helping us to prioritize now going forward in terms of these innovations. Let's not wait with a lot of the things that we've been looking at. Let's move quickly so that we don't get into a place again where we have to think about how we deliver care at home, because we've known we had to kind of crack that nut a long time ago. So let's crack it and let's do it at speed.
So I'm really interested, Jacob, in terms of what you're describing here, certain going to the sort of the customer family and demonstrating a certain level of empathy and benevolence. So were there any sort of takeouts that came back to you that were quite sort of stand out from the customer family?
So, so sorry, Mark, you just broke up a little bit. Can you just repeat the question? I didn't quite hear the last bit of it.
Yeah, sorry. So I was really fascinated where you're talking about sort of demonstrating that empathy and benevolence to the sort of Bupa customer family. Is there anything that came back to you that you thought, wow, that was a really good demonstration of actually how this can work?
Yes, I think so. One of the things that was really important to our customers that was deploying remote GP services to all of them. So it's something that we were going to do in any way, but we were going to do it upon renewal throughout the year. And our customers basically wanted it within a week's time because they said, you know, of course, none of us wanted to go and see GPs, etc. And then they're concerned about their people. So so we worked with our provider to do that. It was a massive project. We did it. We managed it in a week or two. And we managed to deal with volumes. The uptake of as you can imagine, in terms of those services really increased significantly. And it was a really valued service for our customers in general. But I think we help them to make their employees understand how valued they are in each of those organizations.
Yeah,
It was really a bit of a mic drop moment in terms of, you know, this is what my organization has achieved, has done for me as an individual. I now have access to this service, and I can just double check if I'm okay throughout this whole pandemic. So I think there's a level of vulnerability both ways. So we have many large corporate clients, multinational clients that are, you know, quite powerful and have a specific style of procurement and dealing with providers. But we were all quite equally vulnerable in the situation. And I think it was kind of a good equalizer for all of us, where we came together more as human beings rather than client kind of provider. Really find solutions, really be honest with one another. But they had to put a huge amount of trust in us really quickly, you know, especially some of our newer clients. And it really paid off. I really feel that it took our relationships with our clients to the next level.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, fantastic going forward.
Yes, it's fantastic, and thank you. That's some really interesting insight from that period. Actually, personally, then from you, Jacob, you know, you've been working with the leadership team through this period. How do you think that's, you know, working together through this type of business crisis and, you know, health crisis? How do you think that will impact going forward, you know, for you and the leaders, you know, within your group, your senior leadership team?
I think it really brought us closer together. And I think one of the things that was really interesting is none of us were strong every day. So we all went through our ups and downs, you know, just around fatigue, personal situations, you know, childcare, all sorts of bits and pieces. So I think it really brought us together much closer. It helped us to communicate better, I think. So we kind of generally, you know, worked around the principles of over communicating rather than anything else. So we communicated a lot, which was great. We communicated with our people a lot. And we had some of the highest employee engagement scores that we ever had, surprisingly. Wow. Because we could prove, you know, our people's value to the organization by all the things that we did for them, but also all the things that we enabled them to do for our customers. So I think as a team, there was a kind of a, after all the running around like crazy, there was a bit of a kind of a pat on the back moment in terms of, gosh, we actually did it. We actually got through this first part of the war. We're stronger, we're wiser, we're different. And we are really taking time to reflect, to see how we can really embed that kind of approach and thinking into our permanent practices going forward, and not just get stuck in the rut
go
of
back
just
into
running a
the
business.
old way. Yes,
absolutely.
That's really, it's almost sort of like coming together, and those those experiences become almost like war stories going forward. Do you remember when we did X? And it bonds, it bonds and glues the team together. And that, you made a really interesting point there in terms of not letting it go back to how it was. I mean, the focus now is heavily on the next stage. What are your big outtakes? What do you think? Because to a certain extent, you are in an envious position where you are setting the new normal, how people are going to be working. I mean, how do you see it coming in the next sort of 6 to 12 months, Jacob?
So I think we need to keep an attitude of learning throughout this, because none of us have been through it. So be agile, but also be open to learn. And I think we're really clear with our customers, around our, redeployment of our staff into centers, clinics, offices, etc. A lot of our customers have asked us, what's your approach? What are your kind of concerns, and etc. And we've very much led with we don't necessarily know the answer. We've got the expertise in these areas. This is what it feels like. But we will continue to learn with you, and we will continue to share this learning with you, and then let's kind of share it both ways. I think we've proved to ourselves that we can be agile, that we can innovate, that we can drive certain agendas for us in healthcare around virtual care, etc. So I think to be less apologetic around those things, because I think we are sometimes potentially, as UK providers, we never want to upset our customers. We don't want to challenge our clients too much, etc. We want to go on a pace that everyone is very comfortable with. But when it comes to medicine and clinical care, there comes a point where you need to kind of be quite brave and say, this is the thing. You need to be quite bolshy. This is the new normal. Because if we did it earlier, we wouldn't have only rolled virtual GP services out this year. If you know what I mean. So So just being a bit more being a little bit braver with our suggestions and recommendations, and working with our partners and really encouraging them in a positive way to help us drive some of this change, so that if we are in a similar crisis or a different crisis, that we've got these tools in place to help us through this.
I think it's really interesting. You're almost sort of describing a co-curated or co-created journey going forward, where actually it is about being a bit more a bit braver and a bit more creative and innovative about how we do things, and acknowledging that we might make some mistakes along the way, but actually we can learn from those, and we can continue to build and develop. So I think it's really interesting. It's a great perspective to have as we start to come out of something that we've never been through before, and not let ourselves probably drift back into, wouldn't it be great if we were like the old days? But actually the old days, we're not. No, let's embrace what it could be in terms of the new days. That was really, it's really great. And I know that you're a very busy man, Jacob. So to get sort of 10 minutes of your time over a virtual cup of tea is really great. And I thank you for spending the time. And
no worries. Good to speak to you, Mark.
Look forward to maybe having a cup of coffee next time, maybe, Jacob. Doing it in the morning. Okay, go well.
Thanks, Mark. You too. Take care.
Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye.